Good afternoon and welcome to the recording of the virtual staff room for Google Updates for the end user. This is a retrospective and covers all the Google updates that happen in February 2022. So we'll go through each one of them in turn and just talk quickly about the implications for each of those as we go through them. First one then is if you have a Chrome base for meetings in one of your video conference rooms, and people who are joining via a Chrome base for meetings can now get involved in the polls and Q&As that happen inside a Google Meet. It does depend on your license, of course. You've got to have licenses to set up those polls and Q&As. And the organizer needs to create the polls inside the web version or the mobile version of the Meet, not on the actual Chrome base. But those attending via a Chrome base can actually complete polls and Q&As, which is quite nice. So adds a bit of extra interactivity to your conference rooms if you're using Chrome bases as that conference room solution. Next one is a warning to kind of plan ahead and to be aware. If you are currently using currents, then they are eventually going to disappear and all going to be moved across into spaces. There's a long timeline for this, so I'm sure we will revisit this and remind frequently, and so that you don't miss it. But if you are a regular currents user, start to explore Google Chat Spaces and start to think about how you're going to use those instead as your collaboration and kind of communication tool for all of those things. More details about how the integration will happen and the timeline will happen in end of this year or early 2023, but just to be aware that that is coming and you need to plan for it. Next, if you are a Google Voice user within your organization, lots and lots of the European numbers are now including Google Voice licenses. So the school pays a fixed fee per license per month for your Google Voice, and many European countries are now included in that. It does say many, and there are some strange anomalies, I would say, even within the UK. So if you happen to have a collaboration going on with a school in the Isle of Man, then that will incur additional costs. But if you happen to have a collaboration going on with a school in Italy, then you won't. So Italy is free, but the Isle of Man, even though it's a Crown Protectorate and technically part of the UK, is not. So just to be aware that there are, and the link on here that Chris will share with you will take you to the website where you can check if there are countries in the wider EU that you call regularly, just to find out what those costs are. The vast majority are free, but just there are one or two anomalies. So just to be aware of them. Next one is there is an improved search experience in Google Chat. It just means that when you go to the chat bar to start to find people, it's using AI now to say, well, who are the most recent people that you searched for or chatted with? So there's kind of an added level of intelligence built into that. So it's not just about a straight search. You haven't got to necessarily got to start typing. You can see in the little GIF example on the slide here that as soon as you click on the search bar, it makes suggestions, and that's based on your most recent conversations. You can still type names in and it will filter down to the name beginning with that letter, of course, as in the GIF example, but it will make suggestions straight away to make finding things easier. So that's that. Smart Canvas. This whole kind of area of smart chips, I think, is one that's only going to grow and grow and grow. This is kind of a sort of example of that, in that at the top of the overview on the left-hand side of Google Docs, you're now going to get a summary start to appear. It's just appeared on our C-Learning domain this week. And I clicked on it to add the summary, and the suggestion it gave me to summarize the document I was on was completely and utterly accurate and adequate, and I didn't need to make any changes. So I just pressed tab and it just accepted it. It was very, very simple to do. So it's an amazing little tool if it's that good every time, which is really good. The other new feature in Google Docs is a pageless format. What the pageless format does is it doesn't limit you by the A4 page. So by going pageless format, you could, for example, create a table in a document which is much wider than A4, And when you get to that part of the document, you actually scroll left and right to see the missing bits of table that are beyond the screen view, if you like. So if you've got a small tower, if you're looking at it on a mobile, for example, it just gives you that option to scroll across a table to see all the details in the table in a smaller screen where the page doesn't quite fill it properly. So that's the other bit, excuse me, other bit in the pages, which is that's the pages format bit. I've just mentioned search chips. Search chips are just it's clearly the latest thing, and they are absolutely amazing. You've now got search chips in Drive, in Drive and in Mail, and they'll start to appear in other ones, I'm sure, as the search as it develops more and more. You've got the smart chips that appear inside Google Docs, which are already there. But these basically, what happens is that when you do a search within your Drive, and the same thing happens in your Mail, the whole series of drop-down options, which you can see in the GIF here just below where it says search results for location, file type, people, etc. So it just gives you additional ready built-in filters for you to get more precise about the thing that you're searching for, so you can find it that much quicker. And really useful if you've got things like cloud search and because if you're on the enterprise license, for example, then you won't necessarily need this because you can do it there and it'll find and filter because they're already in place. But if you haven't, then this is a great alternative for those who don't have that. And it really does help you find things very much quicker because they're just much easier. It's in effect like all the settings in the advanced search without having to click the advanced search button. If you are on an enterprise version, you will also get the option to select labels. So if you wanted to look at all internal use only documents or all personal identifiable information documents or whatever labels you've chosen, then you can also do that. But that will only, of course, apply, the labels bit will only apply to those with labels in their license. And that at the moment is Education Plus. So exactly the same thing as before with these smart chips. This is another smart chip feature. This is only available in Education Plus because it relates directly to cloud search. So if you have got Education Plus, you can now start to specify a broader range of file types, and you can also start to specify search for a document if it's shared with other people. So that's kind of quite nice. That was missing from the smart chips that were there at the top once you've done your search. So those will start to appear over the next few weeks. But because it's for cloud search, only for those with Education Plus. And that was it. A very short one this month because there's relatively few updates. The next update for the user interface will be April the 4th. And I look forward to seeing you all again there. Thanks very much for watching.